Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Richard, Grannon and Friends podcast. I have returning here with us today, Mr. Daniel Wilson. Thank you for coming in.
Hi there.
And Mr. Tyler Cooke.
Hello.
Where can people find you on your Instagrams? What's your Instagram, Mr. Wilson?
I think you should go first because yours is the best one.
My Instagram, which I've been trying to change for a while now.
Come on.
I can't. It's Tyler Cookzilla.
Yeah,
Tyler
man.
Cookzilla.
Yeah.
Trust me, I was younger. I was more into it. And then the health guys did me 2 Instagrams that I mainly use if you want to find me.
Cool.
We go from Tyler Cookzilla to just Danny Wilson coaching.
You've got to beef that one up a bit.
I probably should.
A little bit more. So the last 5 weeks, I was told by the gentleman who's currently helping me, my friend in the Balkans, to come off TRT to see what effect it would have. And in there, everything was fine until the 5th week. And I love the gym. I'm always happy in the gym. Don't want to leave.
No.
The last 3 or 4 sessions were very whingy, very fucking whingy sessions. And I was walking around the gym thinking, is this what everyone else feels like when they come to the gym? Because I had a schedule of things to go through. I was like, oh dear, I think that's going to hurt. I think I could skip this. The schedule was like, no, just do everything and you'll get into it. I never did. It was horrendous all the way. How much do you think endogenous testosterone is a factor in just enjoyment of training? Was where I wanted to start.
If we're talking about TRT, if you are using exogenous testosterone to bring your own levels or to mimic to get them up to normal, you're going to feel absolutely incredible. You then come off like you did.
Yeah.
Well, the signs and the symptoms of low testosterone are exactly the same as the symptoms of depression.
Right. So,
take that as you will.
Mr. Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, testosterone's a funny one to describe because most people think, oh, well, if I do some testosterone, I'll be a war machine. But in reality, stealing from Andrew Huberman, it just makes effort feel good, which is exactly what you've experienced. I always compare it to if the human body was a car, testosterone would be like a supercharger. So it just allows more power and aggression. And the aggression word's true in all senses, but like you just hunt your goals down more.
Yeah.
You're more ferocious with what you want.
Yeah.
And that clearly in your case is the opposite, right? Like you've got no fire, you've got no want, and that's testosterone.
Usually in the gym, I'm a little bit cranky, but in a happy way. And I'm just marching around from machine to machine. And I have to say to myself, right, that's enough, go home. But this was just a fucking grind. And it did make me wonder if endogenously, not exogenous, endogenously, if people have low test and they try the gym and then they have that horrible experience, they're just like, I don't want to do this. The guy who took my bloods today, ex-army, 38, a little bit overweight. And he was saying to me, do you train a lot? I said, yeah, I like to train. He said, I used to like it, but I can't be arsed now. What do you think? You're a psychologist. What's your advice? I said, I've got no psychology advice. Get your bloods done, which is exactly what he was doing for me at that moment as he's sucking out my arm. I was like, you should be doing this.
We said this on a podcast, didn't we?
Yeah.
You said it.
Well, but yeah, as a collective, you said people, the first thing you want to do before you look into SSRIs, antidepressants, or your own psychology, get your bloods done.
Have a little look what's going on.
Pull the oil, have a look at the oil, see what's happening.
And that's true for men and women, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's the easiest, most reliable way to just take a little peek into what's going on. And a lot of the time, whether it's females with PCOS, whether it's men with depression or low self-esteem, you find an answer and correct it. And it's scary how many times I've had people go, mate, I've been in a bad place 3, 4, 5 years, never knew why, and this was it. And I'm like...
Because I think we just accept it.
I think it's just life.
This is what life must be like.
Yeah, if you don't know any different.
No.
So like I'm in the gym and it does sound a bit of a stupid meatheady thing to say, but I really was thinking, is this how I am normal? But is this how normal people are in the gym?
You rebounded almost, didn't you? So normal people will have that baseline between like 10 and 30 mNOL. You'd probably have been at 2 or 1.
Yeah.
So you were way below.
I'll be when I'll get the results Friday, but I think I'll be very down.
And you'd have elevated your estradiol because you've been so high. Yeah. So this lack of test and high estro, it's a nightmare. It's hell. It's not good. For
the people who don't know, what's the problem? Estradiol is the marker for your estrogen levels? Yeah,
there's like 3, estrone, estriol, estradiol, but estradiol is the main one people use. The other 2 can cause problems.
Yeah.
But estradiol is usually the main one people use. And it's more of there's no real male and female, but it's the female equivalent in a female of I guess, testosterone, although they have testosterone.
So what's the negative impact on a man having high estrogen?
Well, the funny thing is there's no negative impact until there's a negative impact, which is a funny thing to say. And what we say to people is, depending on an individual, depends on what you'll get. Some people will cut it off at the puffy face. Once their estradiol gets so high, they'll have a puffy face to retain more water. It's bad for your heart as well. Beyond that, you'll have issues potentially with mood, which is sometimes where people cut it off. And then you'll have libido issues and fatigue issues, again, where people will cut it off. So it depends who you are. You know, there are bodybuilders out there that tolerate all of those and go, I ain't touching my estrogen, because it's actually, believe it or not, good for muscle growth. It's good for bone density.
Is it really?
So,
Yeah.
So they let it stay high because they're not bothered about the physical manifestations, because they don't mind being irritable. They don't mind having no libido, and they don't mind being a big puffy, watery mess.
Yeah, because they'll just
Because they don't care.
when it's time
anabolic,
to cut
baby.
and- yeah.
It don't matter.
What's I know you work a lot more with, you specialize in working with women. Is there a negative impact for women if their estrogen levels are too high?
This is why I have a friend called Tyler Cooke. Whenever I get these kind of questions, I go, hey, Ty, what do you think about this? And Ty goes, da-da-da-da-da-da, and I go, thank you.
I just ramble.
Yeah, that's. I think we've spoke about this before. The good thing about being me is I've got lots of friends who are way more intelligent than me that I have no problem going.
You looked at me and you then.
I looked.
There's only three of us here.
Hey, who are you talking about, lad?
So I can pick Ty's knowledge and I can pick your knowledge whenever I want, and I'm not the type of person that will just make something up like a lot of people do. So if any questions about that kind of stuff, here's my guy.
Hormones are extremely complex, and I think the best thing to say is the question you asked was, why is it a problem? Well, the thing with estradiol, testosterone, estrogen, whatever you want to talk about, they have what you would call like that ceiling that I don't think people realize exists.
Yeah.
People think with testosterone, well, if I take a bit, I have a higher libido, I'm more driven, I can build muscle easier, lose fat easier. Where's the drawback? Well, estrogen typically is the drawback. Once that starts getting to a point where it's counterproductive, you've got to calm down and stop. So I guess with women,
most of the women I deal with are of an age where they wish they had high estrogen.
Right.
Their hormones are starting to tank. So they're in perimenopause and menopause. So high estrogen's not really a problem.
It's not a problem.
It's the fact that everything's slowing down and coming out of whack.
There's a podcast that I used to listen to. Sometimes it's two American doctors who were trying to educate people about, but they focus especially on estrogen. And one of the things they said for women, if they're trying to have babies, there's a fertility issue if the estrogen level is too high, and they have to monitor that. They have to get their bloods done. Basically, we're back to the same thing. You should get your bloods done.
That's the root for all of it. And the reason I say that is because when we're talking about estrogen, estradiol, testosterone, we're also talking about SHBG, globulin, albumin, progesterone, prolactin. We're not just talking about two things. And that's where people get very confused.
Yeah.
You know, they'll send me things or say things like, oh, my testosterone's here. What do you think? And I'm like, there's like 6 other markers you'd want to see.
Yeah.
You'd want to also see things like cholesterol, bilirubin. There's millions of stuff that you want to look at. So that's why get bloods, a full panel with someone who knows what they're talking about. And then, you know, adventure in and see what's going on, because without all of the accompanying data, you can't really figure it out, you know. And then you've also got to ask people things as well. Some people, like we've said, are completely oblivious. Their estrogen's through the roof. They're a big watery mess with massively high blood pressure. And that's the issue.
That's where I got to in Dubai.
Big red
started
face.
messaging you. Because they were saying to me, it's your pre-diabetic or potentially moving into a pre-diabetic phase. You're going to be looking at metabolic syndrome. Wow. What was the prolactin?
Prolactin
Was through the roof. That's give me pills.
That's
to
a
bring that
nightmare.
down.
Like that is almost a man-made nightmare in a way, because prolactin issues, of course, with hyperprolactinemia, you can have an issue, but that's like genetic. But it's actually almost man-made, because when you mess with your own testosterone level with external tests, you can elevate estrogen to a level your bodies wouldn't be able to get to.
Yeah.
And then you have this bleed into prolactin, which is just a disaster to fix. And that's another part of a lot of this. We don't know a lot of we don't have a lot of information on. So it's quite interesting.
That's where I was going to go to next. Endocrinology as a field of study is fairly young, isn't it? We don't know that much yet.
Yeah.
And it's vast as well, isn't it?
That's it. That's what I mean about the
Vast.
blood aspects. Like, it's vast. Okay, you've got 4 liver markers that we look at, typically 4 liver enzymes, but there's more than that. There's deeper ones that look for specific things. And same goes for testosterone. There's just so many areas of it that we're not exploring. I think although it's been around a while, there's a lot to come from it as well that we're all learning about as people peer into themselves a lot more.
When I used to teach self-defense, there was a guy who was a student of mine, and I knew he was a doctor, but I didn't know what he did. And he sent me this really polite email one day, and he was like, the way you describe adrenaline and adrenaline dumps as being a fight or flight hormone, that's actually not what adrenaline does, and that's not what's happening inside. We just describe it in self-defense. And I was like, well, when we talk about this adrenaline dump, when you go into shock and you suddenly panic, well, if it's not adrenaline, what is it? He said, oh, it is adrenaline, but it's also, and then he reeled off a list of 15 other things. It's this whole chemical cocktail. But I think if you're not a specialist in the field, you'll always want the non-nuanced version, won't you? You want like the simple one. Yeah. Adrenaline is for fear. Testosterone make angry. Estrogen for women, feminine. But it's not that at all, is it? These are all interacting with each other and producing different results.
It's way more complex than I imagined, and I'm only really at the beginning of what I'm looking into. And I get more and more fascinated and realize that if only more of us spent more time looking at how magical things really are, we'd probably pay a lot more respect to actually what's going on and how we treat ourselves. And that's something I'm now becoming more interested in through bodybuilding, believe it or not, like actually paying attention to my body, maybe realize, oh shit, we don't know a lot about this. And maybe that we need to do a bit more to look after ourselves.
Yes, that's interesting. That reminds me of a Miyamoto Musashi quote. You know, I like to quote Musashi.
I do,
yeah. But he said, if you know the way of one thing, you know the way of all things. So like the more you look at one subject, you come to the same conclusions. Like all kind of convalesces in one place. Psychology is like that.
I have not heard that and I like it. And psychology, weirdly, everyone who ever explains anything to me, because they see I go to the gym, it's always gym analogies. And it works though. So they know this guy likes the gym, so if I can put this in a gym format, he's going to get it. And I do. Usually I do.
It's the safest way to get things
Life
done.
is like reps, lad. I'm like, it is.
Well,
it is.
Yeah, man.
I feel that.
I've started doing that whenever I'm doing anything that's solutions based in the psychology field. To be like, it's conditioning. You have to strengthen yourself for this. How do you strengthen yourself? Repetitions across
repetition.
But it literally is. Like if you want to train somebody out of an anxious state, or you want to train them to be more assertive, you have to lay down new neural pathways, which actually do lay down in a way that's not dissimilar to muscle fiber. And it's usually through repetition, and it's usually through consistent repetition across time.
I have my mind blown by someone I would consider a bit of a mentor. He's a really, really smart guy. One of the best, I think, in the world when it comes to hormones, all that stuff. Really, really deep knowledge. And he explained everything to me. He said, read this book, The Stress of Life, and it's all about something called general adaptation syndrome, and it applies to everything. Yeah. You have a stimulus, you have a period of obviously recovery or where you've inflicted that stimulus, and then you have an overcompensation. That's just life in every aspect. Almost every system respects it.
What's it called?
General adaptation syndrome,
so
GAS.
It's like a principle of life.
It's a principle of life. So you have a stimulus. That stimulus then requires a bout of recovery, and the body always goes, hey, as long as we've been not stretched too much, we'll come back a little stronger.
It's like stress plus recovery equals growth.
Yeah. He told me, if you can understand the suntan and the mechanisms of a suntan, you understand the mechanisms of most human biology. And it's something very interesting. How do you build muscle? People always say to me, I do this, and I do this. And then I apply it to a suntan. I say, do you think the best way to get nice brown skin is going to go and spend 3-4 hours in the sun? What's going to happen? They say, well, I'll burn. And I go, yeah. And is burning good? No, it's not. It's destruction of the skin.
Yeah.
What's the best thing to do? Oh, we'll go out for half an hour and get, absorb as much as I can. Go back in.
Recover a little bit.
Do a little bit more the next day. And then you start getting into genetic variances. Who can spend the most time in the sun? Well, depends on your genetics. So that's how you start. Same training, the exact same.
It is exactly the same. I suppose the tip over into where you start to look at the body breaking, the analogy in psychology would be that's actual trauma. You've moved beyond stress and pressure and stimulus to stuff actually breaking and popping.
Muscle growth is micro trauma. Trauma is bad. Trauma is tearing fibers off. It's detaching tendons. And when you realize everything's just a bit of micro trauma.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Goldilocks zone. It made sense to me. Yeah, it made sense to me in everything. Then I was like, oh wow,
The way of one thing is the way of everything.
Yeah.
Hey.
So
I don't.
obviously there's this type of thing that you get where you can find a sort of a middle path, and you end up making less and less extreme claims. I think any specialist in any field, as they progress, the claims become much more middling and much more like, well, it kind of depends.
Yeah. It depends is always a good one, isn't it?
I can't.
What's this? Well, it depends.
Well, I just spoke with a narcissist after 3 years, and he took the cat and I did this, and then his mother-in-law is a borderliner. How long will it take me to recover? And I'm like, exactly 17
27
weeks,
days.
Yeah, 27. Like, how long's a piece of string? You just can't answer these questions.
That's the annoying thing. I've started seeking out experts in many areas, and the more experts I seek out, the less answers I get.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit.
Yeah.
I've got to be more respectful with how I speak, because in these complex matters, with the bloods, for example, I used to just give people advice. Now I go, whoa, go get a full panel, all 50 plus biomarkers, and then you can look at things, and then you can think about things. You can't just go, here's me test, lad, here's me estrogen, what do you reckon? Because it's just not enough. You've got to dismiss people like that.
And you're only, if you look at somebody's bloods, you're looking at a snapshot in time, at that moment in time.
At that moment, no tissue reference. I mean, fasted states have massive implications on bloods. Hydration has a massive implication on bloods. So a lot of the time you've got these markers that are so typically out of range that you expect. And you've got to it's a lot to take. You've got to be experienced and understand exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah. So would you say people in the fitness or strength or nutrition space who are making very rigid, very certain, very dogmatic claims, they're less likely to be telling the truth?
Yeah, as the universe of Star Wars would say, only Sith stealing absolutes.
That's
what they say.
Sith
stealing absolutes. If you're a Sith, fine by me, whatever. But we're Jedis over here.
Pure Jedis over here, kid.
Yeah, I don't think anyone should speak in absolutes.
No.
I don't know about you guys.
No. What you'll notice on social media is anyone that goes, this is what happens. This. It's like,
I think it's
for
funny.
everyone on the planet, this happens, does it?
I
Is
think
there
as a
any kind of
coach-
mitigating circumstances or factors that might go into lifestyle? No, nothing, no, everything like this.
I think your main responsibility as a coach is to be a coach, which to me is offer multitudes of paths, multitudes of methods, years of experience, and find someone's way. So the second you see a coach saying, this is the way, you've found someone who isn't a coach.
Yeah.
That's not a coach. It's not what they do.
Are there some things that people can't do without? I'll ask a simple question. If it's reducing body fat, are there some principles that people cannot escape from, no matter that they have to follow, no matter what their ideological stance is?
Well, the big one is, if you're looking to lose body fat, then you need to, on a very, very basic level, you need to just eat less than you're expending. But then we need to look at the amount of energy that you're taking in, that you're expending, and then the quality of your food.
That would be the universal law, wouldn't it? I knew you were going to say calories is the universal.
I hate saying
I
calorie
hate
deficit.
saying it too. And I hate saying the law of thermodynamics.
Yeah.
Although it's the second law.
I wanted to try and get through that without saying calorie
it's
deficit.
hard, but it's true, isn't it?
It's true.
It's
but
a basic fact.
We just need to think of another word for it, I think. Because
Where does thermodynamics play into that?
Well, the way people use thermodynamics as a reference is they believe that matter can't be created or destroyed, essentially. So they think that the way it works is calories come into the body, and then the equation is as simple as, well, the calories go out and the difference is your deficit. The issue with it is that there's a thermic effect of food with each food type. I mean, protein's like 17 to 20%.
protein's the highest,
Yeah, 17 to 20% of the calories in whatever protein source you're eating can be used up to digest it. People don't really factor that in. When carbohydrates is like 2 to 3%, I think.
Is it really?
Fats might be like 2 to 3, very low.
There's not a lot, is there?
No.
Carbohydrates or fats.
100 calories of chicken, you only really absorb 80.
It's where meat sweats come from. Have you ever had the meat sweats? You've had the meat sweats.
I've had the meat sweats.
The meat sweats.
Is that what that really is?
Yeah.
That's it's
You're consuming masses. You go to one of these barbecue restaurants where you just eat nothing but meat. You're consuming masses and masses and masses and masses of protein. When you start sweating, when your body temperature starts to rise, that's your body metabolizing that food.
And working hard.
Dietary induced thermogenesis, yeah.
I like that you brought thermodynamics into it, because the way I try to think of everything is I try to reduce it down to core principles, especially if it's a bit of a complicated subject. And I'm like, my big fight when I never did fitness coaching, but did martial arts coaching. And that people would fight like fuck to try to deny the laws of physics. And they'd be like, I think this technique would work. And I'd be like, you are a sensible human in every other fucking area of your life.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What's going on here?
This utter gibberish is going to work if 5 scallies are trying to stamp one down.
Yeah.
They're just waving their hands. And I think I could do this. Yeah, when you're naked in the bathroom on your own in front of the mirror, you could do all kinds
absolutely.
of stuff.
We've all won 5-on-1 fights in the bathroom naked, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, batter people. Lads, I'm telling you, I'm the hardest person in that bathroom.
Oh, shadow boxer.
when I'm on my own and there's no one in there.
Undefeated.
But bringing the physics back seems to was really, really hard because you're fighting a lot of like ideology, and people get rigid with their ideology. But on the weight loss thing, I don't know when I was saying this through, I was like, if you had a thing that had a mass, that means it has a certain density of particles. If you want to reduce that mass, particles have to come out. They have to escape. And if you keep putting the particles back in, it's either going to gain mass or maintain it. And that's it. That's it. Like,
it's the problem with it is the explanation is that good. It's not enough, is it? People can't sleep knowing that. They need more.
So then a slightly controversial topic that, you know, like people get really wound up about weight loss, anything to do with food. They can get very, very upset when people say it's genetics or it's my glands. What's the thing that they say that they can't lose weight?
Thyroid.
Yeah.
Let's say it's true. What magic is your body doing where no molecules are going in and molecules are going out through sweat, through breathing, through going to the bathroom, but you maintain the same mass? How? What magic is that?
The magic of homeostasis, which is just a fancy word for balance. And how, I wouldn't say it's just the thyroid, but the entire body will essentially try and keep you where you are.
Right.
And it will do that through core regulation. So it will change the core temperature only slightly, but enough to equate a decent, level of calories. It will mess with your HRV, so your average heart rate, in order to try. And that's why if you have a whoop or anything like that, you might notice that it says your heart rate's been higher over the last 24 hours. So you're under recovered, that your body trying to catch up. It's using more power.
Right.
So I think like,
that's the magic, is the down regulation.
The magic is that, and bodybuilders have seen that. Like if I drop you to 1,500 calories, Rich, of course you're going to lose fat. It's a fact, but there probably would be a 2-week buffer where not much happens, maybe a week, and that's your body fighting with every ounce of its being. Like, what is this guy doing? It doesn't make sense. We're starving. It's not the starvation mode people talk about, but it will fight back enough.
Yeah, of course it will. It's like metabolic adaptation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've had it when I've been a couple of weeks out from a show in my crazy former life, and I'd be trying my hardest to walk at a normal pace. And I'm like, what is going on with my legs? Why am I not moving? And your body will just slow you down. It's why a lot of people who are close to competition they just can't smile.
Yeah.
Because smiling takes energy. So your body just goes, what can we strip this down to? And it'll just slow you down. I'd be like trying to catch up with my kids walking around years ago, right? Like walking around Cheshire Oaks. I'd be trying to catch up with them. I'd be like, I'm not feeling very good here. I can't really, why aren't my legs moving very well? And I was shredded. I'd never in my life be that shredded again.
You were shredded, yeah.
But I was like this.
What calories were you down to?
That was when I was full on bro. So I wasn't even counting calories. I was
You did have shredded glutes.
I was just eating protein.
No one probably cares, but let me say, everyone says they're a bodybuilder, but very few people get shredded glutes. Danny did have shredded glutes, to be fair. That's rare.
I couldn't sit on the floor because it hurt.
Because you had no fat on your bottom cheeks.
I had the fat on the bottom of my feet. It would hurt to walk.
Yeah, not everyone gets there.
What a fucking idiot!
Your feet got too skinny to
fat
walk.
pads in the feet were gone, mate. It was living next.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. You're basically close to death, aren't you?
Dorian Yates talks about it.
You're basically close to death.
He talks about getting out of bed, and the thing he hated the most was putting his feet on the floor.
Yeah.
He said it was just horrible. Bone on the floor he did not like.
Yeah, I couldn't sit on the floor with the kids or anything. It's just
no fat in your
horrible.
arse, no fat in your feet, and it just everything hurts.
Yeah.
You have body fats around your organs,
life.
don't you? And that is the last to go. So when they say, I got to 2%, well, realistically, the human body has maybe 5 or 6 essential percent of body fat that covers organs and surrounds them, keeps them warm, does all the stuff. that's how you die. Like, you start eating that way.
When people are really, really shredded and they've got veins in their abs and it's an 8-pack, what is that in realistic percentage?
Probably like 7.
Yeah.
7's very
Believe
low,
it or
isn't
not, it's most people would say it was 2 or 1 or minus
Oh yeah,
6.
I love that when you see people go, it got down to 2%. No, you didn't.
A guy called Alberto Nunez, Google that guy, did an MRI and he was inside out, like looked like a skeleton.
Do as Alberto Nunez.
Alberto
please, mate.
Nunez, and he MRI'd, I think, at about 7, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
He made me look 15%, and I thought I was shredded. To this guy,
And so on an MRI scan, very,
he
very
did a
shredded.
DEXA scan, and he was literally like 7%, something like that.
7%.
He was way higher than anyone ever thought.
Very, very, very shredded.
He set a standard, and everyone was like, okay.
Yeah, shit.
Yeah.
I read some of the research on it because for years I used to fight it. I was like, this doesn't make sense. It can't be that.
Look at that. That's Alberto Nunez.
Oh my God.
That was 7%.
That's 7%. Okay. And that's, you don't get lower than that, do you? You don't get people who get much lower than
No,
that.
but you'll get
try.
IFBB pros that'll be like, yeah, I'm 5%. I'm like, well, you're not.
This is if it fits your macros guy, by the way, completely natural, didn't take anything.
You never took anything?
People, believe it or not, or look better. Like, people can get lean out without steroids a lot easier, I found.
Really?
In terms of like really quality lean.
Because of the water retention effect?
No one knows. I mean, I would say probably. I would also say it could be down to naturals just not relying on steroids as much. So they rely on grit and, believe it or not, determination. Sounds cheesy, but I think it's true.
Yeah.
I think they just focus more on the variables that you can control. Cardio, training, food. They're not like, what do I inject next week? What do I do this week?
So this guy's natural and
I'd say, yeah, he was natural. I'd say,
down at that percentage. The research I looked at into it was saying, like you said, there's a down regulation of all movement. They tried doing, there was different pieces of research. They tried doing self-reporting and then people come back to the clinic and say what they'd eaten, but it was like 99% of the time people just lie.
Yeah.
So when they actually put them in the clinic and there was nothing, there's the food we give you or death.
Yeah.
And when people were really following that calorie deficit, they were, like you said, they weren't gesturing as much. They weren't like, oh, hi guys, how we doing?
Everything slows down.
They're just like
everything.
And they watch them. They're on film all the time. They're watching for hours and hours. They're just moving less. They even seem to be breathing more slowly.
You watch TV programs that you don't really want to watch because you can't be bothered finding the remote.
Yeah. The parasympathetic bodybuilder.
It's insane, isn't it?
How is that a sport?
The parasympathetic bodybuilder needs observing, because I don't know if anybody ever heard, but in bodybuilding, the West used to love it. America were great. UK was great. Europe was great. There was this phase where everyone went to Kuwait. Into this gym in Kuwait.
Oxygen gym, wasn't it?
Oxygen gym. Badabou Dai, the guy who owned it, billionaire Arab who was apparently invested in all sorts. He basically just started saying to Western bodybuilders, hey lads, come out here. I'll fund your training. You're going to have a lad with you to take the weights on and off.
Yeah.
You're going to food delivered to your door. Obviously, there's no nightlife. There's no culture.
Yeah.
Well, there obviously is culture, but there's no drinking. There's no Western culture.
There's no culture.
I know a
There's
few
no
lads that went
distraction.
over there and they all went absolutely massive, insane progress, because all they did was they trained, had food delivered to the hotel room and watched Netflix. They didn't do anything else. That was their life. To the gym, which they got drove to.
Yeah.
They had a guy there who already had their plan written down, would take them through it, take the weights off, put them on. They didn't have any thought, nothing involved in it at all.
I've got, that really interests me because I've got a very negative version of that with two of the lads I used to work with on the doors here, and they both got nicked at different times. They both managed to work their way into the gyms, into working in the gym and cleaning up the gym and putting the weights away. The state, both of them were chubby, and the state they got into in prison, they got into amazing, because there's fuck all else to do.
Yeah.
They just thought about what they're going to eat.
Yeah.
What training they do. They'd be like box, then they teach boxing because there's nothing else to do. Yeah. Then they'd lift weights.
Do some press ups, then do some more press ups.
Why it's not it's a strange sport, isn't it? Because bodybuilders are like, their job's to be lazy. Yeah. Their job's to find the most efficient way to do anything. Because that's what being a bodybuilder is, efficiency. Spending as little bodily energy on a task, potentially, so that they can save it for energy to train and recover, and that's it. Train, sleep, recover. That's their goal.
That's interesting, that, because there was another thing I wanted to ask you both about today, is the cardio element. What you've just said in the conversation, everything that we've just said up until now, including the endocrinology thing, would lead me to the now out of date assumption, I don't need cardio then. I will eat, I will lie still, and every single bit of energy I've left will go into bicep curls.
I mean, you're valid. Like, it's a valid point. It's worked in bodybuilding for years.
Yeah.
The cardio thing came from the thermogenesis thing, really. It's kind of like, oh, well, if I do this much cardio a day, I now have to eat that back because I'm trying to grow.
Yeah.
So if I do 300 calories of cardio, that's more food I've got to eat and I don't want to eat it.
Yeah.
So they'll just not move.
Right.
But obviously I think now we're a bit smarter and we realize that the benefits of cardio far outweigh the efforts of eating 300 extra calories.
Yeah, 100%.
What are the benefits? If I just want to be huge and lean, what do I need cardio for?
If your only goal in life is to be huge and lean, then you don't need to do cardio. If you want to be huge, lean, and live for more than a few years,
and have
cardiovascular,
and
yes,
sex
ideally,
during
yes.
that period.
Cardiovascular training is going to massively help. I used to be, and you might have done, I don't know. I used to be like, not doing any cardio, or cardio is putting the weight away, or
I'm embarrassed to say I didn't say stuff like
all
that,
that kind of stuff. But
You actually said that to me.
I've
said
done it
shit like that before,
loads of times. But what I found,
we knew each other from Muay Thai, and I didn't see him 5 years, and then he was fucking huge. Like, don't you come and do some pads with me? He was like, I don't do cardio.
No.
Cardio's putting the weights away, lads.
No, mate.
Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, no. So what I noticed was on a recovery phase, we spoke about stress plus recovery equals growth. If you are cardiovascularly fit, you will recover between sets. So rather than doing a heavy set of bench or a heavy set of deadlift and then be going,
That's me, by the way.
for 20 minutes, you recover really, really quickly, which means that you can train, your next set will be of a slightly higher quality. But I go with because I'm more of a hybrid now. I couldn't not do cardio and lift. I couldn't just go back to lifting now. The benefits to me have just been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think it'd be a giant mistake to sleep on cardio in 2024.
Oh my God, yeah.
I made that mistake, open to it. 7 years of not really doing any cardio, seen it as the enemy, then started looking into the science, the literature, and even just on the front of glycemic variability, how much your blood sugar fluctuates throughout the day. If you do cardiovascular work, you make your vasculature so much more efficient. And that's why they say have a meal and do a 15-minute walk. It's one of the best things you can do because the glycogen from that meal, the glucose, is placed in the proper places and taking out the bloodstream at the proper rate. And that alone is health. You're not having these big spikes in blood sugar.
So I shouldn't eat food and then just sit on my ass watching Netflix.
The best thing you can do is eat food and move, believe it or not. Yeah.
And then immediately
just have a walk,
have a little walk.
What's it called? Is it non-insulin? What's it called? Well, it's exactly what you've just said then. So to get carbohydrates into the muscle requires insulin.
Yeah.
But if you exercise, I can't remember what it's called. It's going to wreck my head now.
It's going to get you in it. But
if you exercise, it came then. When it came and I went, oh no. If you exercise, your body doesn't require insulin to get the carbohydrates to where they're supposed to be. Non-insulin.
I think people just forget we're an efficient species. Yeah. We're not perfect by any means. We'd probably be better off with 4 thumbs and more fingers, but
I would.
We could do all sorts of different things with 4 arms, but we are very close. And people don't understand that the mechanism of cardiovascular work, it all links together. Absolutely,
so
every
it's just
aspect.
An essential part of the human system.
100% essential.
So I remember saying, I don't know how much of it was for promo. It was a Ronnie Coleman video, and was he a firefighter or a policeman?
Policeman.
So he trained in this, according to this video, he'd already done his 6:30 a.m. massive training session, done a full shift as a policeman, came home at night to do an hour of fast walking cardio.
Yeah.
And he was like, it's my privilege to be allowed
sweating his head off, wasn't he?
Ronnie's a different guy, isn't he? Ronnie, if you watch videos of him now, I don't know what the answer is, but he just bodybuilding was his religion. I don't know. Even the pros of the time tell stories about how they'd gone on a flight doing the European tour. Jay Cutler, we all know Jay Cutler, probably the second best at the time, got on a flight with Ronnie and a bunch of the others. They did a 12-hour flight, got off in Texas, and Jay was like, I'm smoked. I'm going to go to bed. I'm not going to train. And Ronnie stands up and goes, who's training then? And Jay thought, well, Ronnie's my rival. I've got to train. So he went, I'll train Ron, thinking it would be chest or back or fucking legs. And Ronnie goes, let's do legs, Jay. Let's do legs. And the next thing, he said, Ronnie Coleman, next thing, 15 minutes off the plane was front squatting 7 plates and training like not. And he said, that's when I knew I'd never beat him because he's just insane.
Yeah.
He just does not. process. Like,
so it's not, I mean, you've mentioned on the podcast before, like your training protocol is very important. Your genetics are very important, but then there's the mindset as well, isn't there?
there are mindsets where people are robots and they are willing to sacrifice their entire existence to beat you at something that's largely not relevant. So you've got to just let them
It's
do it.
completely irrelevant. Crack on.
Let Ronnie take it. But like you will find robots, won't you? And they are fascinating. And I'm massively interested by people who can be like that.
Yeah.
But now he's absolutely battered, isn't he, poor guy?
And he doesn't regret a thing, does he?
Poor guy. He is.
What's it's his back that's gone.
It's everything.
Yes.
He is battered. Battered.
He's had back surgeries,
multiple
didn't he? And then pulled
surgeries.
the screws out in a leg press, and he was like, "Hell yeah!" Like, you know,
And the thing that did him was just hoinking weights around.
I mean, his dad had issues as well, because I'm one of them people, I always try and prepare for the argument that comes at me. And when I was a bodybuilder, I was very defensive. So I was like, if anyone comes after Ronnie, I'm going to have an answer.
Yeah.
And his dad had like hip surgeries before Ronnie. So, and he never really did much. So it's like, there's a hereditary tendency there, and maybe Ronnie's actually extended the life of his hips and won 8 Mr. Olympias and set himself up for life.
Yes.
But then maybe if he just trained properly and normally, he might have had good legs till he was 70,
But
80.
now he's walking on sticks.
Yeah.
And he's on all kinds of pain medication because he can't.
They did ask him,
move.
they said, what would you change, Ronnie? What would you change now you're in a wheelchair? And he said, that 2 reps I did on 800 pounds, and I've got 5.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like,
That's the mentality that the top guys have. I mean, there was that. I never know if this is true or not, but apparently there was a survey, there was a study, and they said to the top bodybuilders. Well, it was a load of bodybuilders. If we give you this tablet and you win Mr. Olympia, but you die the next day, are you taking the tablet? Most of them went.
I think they did that with Olympians.
Something like that.
They were Olympic athletes, and they said, we can guarantee you golds in every event until you're 50, but you're dropping dead. Or not, basically. And they were all like,
give me the
all
tablet.
day.
I don't even need I don't even need to drink of
All
water.
day, yeah.
So there's some kind of there's some truth there somewhere. It's an apocryphal tale, but it's about how
It's the mentality, yeah.
Mental you've got.
It's the mentality, yeah. And that's what people don't get when people come to me, they come to Ty. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this, I want to do that, but I still want to do this, and I still want to do that. It's the same. One of my favorite saying is, you can have anything that you want, but you can't have everything that you want.
Yeah.
So
That's
people will come to me and they'll be like, or I'll get messages, I'll get in the DMs, listen, I need to lose weight, but I'm not giving up my wine, and I'm not giving up this, and I'm not giving. It's like,
Yeah.
you just crack on then, because if you can have anything that you want, anything at all, but you can't have everything that you want.
What if? Serious question. They just did enough cardio.
So will alcohol be okay if they did enough cardio?
Say that they're doing a bottle of wine and a slice of cake and a McDonald's every day, and they're eating in 1,000 calorie surplus. Could they get it all off with cardio?
Well, if they're eating 1,000 calorie surplus, they're going to gain 2 pounds a week, because that's 3,500 calories and a pound of fat times 2. So they'd have to do 1,000 calories of cardio a day.
Yeah.
Assuming they do that, like I got this said to me, I was obsessed with longevity for a while. I was we want to live forever. Like, I was going deep into that and reading all the books.
Wait till you're 46 and you'll revisit that.
Well, a guy goes to me,
Jesus.
goes, and he's older than me, a guy I look up to big time. He went, Tyler, why are you obsessed with longevity? And I went, well, isn't that what everyone's obsessed with? He went, no, you should be obsessed with the quality of life.
Yeah.
And that is where it got me. And I'm like, yeah, you probably can do that. I mean, that might be the quality of life that you're looking for. You know, I don't think people shouldn't drink, and I don't think people shouldn't eat crap. But like you said, you should maybe try and give the other side a little bit of balance.
Yeah.
Because I think people aren't doing that, are they?
Yeah.
Just to balance out what I just said, playing devil's advocate, asking that ridiculous question. 1,000 calories of cardio. Zumba class, 40 minutes. How long would I need to train?
I wish that was
to get off 1,000
For me, I reckon at
calories?
110 kilo, I probably burn 350 to 400 calories in an hour of treadmill.
Yeah.
So I reckon if I did Zumba, I might do 700-800. But I'm 100. I don't think there's any 110 kilo dudes doing Zumba.
I don't think
couldn't do the Zumba.
I ran a fast 8 mile last week, and I think it came up that it was about 1,000 calories that I burned.
How long that take?
An hour and
Wow.
10.
So the point I'm meandering towards is I did have a period of life. I was only 26 where I was playing racquetball don't tell anyone because it's not good for my street cred. I was boxing, right? I was playing racquetball, and it was just a weird situation for whatever reason. There was a social thing there, and there was a girl involved, and I ended up doing it 6 days a week, and we would play for an hour and a half. Racquetball.
Wow.
And obviously, over time, your skill goes up, so you can go for longer. Your fitness goes up, so you have the capacity to do it for longer. And I did get away with eating some crap and everything, but who's gonna, like, 5 days a week of quite hard? It was like intermittent cardio, very highly intense and then soft, and then very highly intense and then soft. Who's going to do that? And are you fit enough to do it?
And then you're not factoring your day as well. What were you doing back then? Like, were you on your feet?
No, I was selling. I was selling the self-defense DVDs.
Oh, so you were on?
I was on computer all day.
Desk based, because I find for me, desk based is what's killed my
100%
body fat efforts.
Yeah,
Was it? Yeah.
I'll do 1,500 steps a day, 2,000. When I was a PT, coaching group classes, like when I was probably in me prime physique wise, I was doing 15, 20k a day just to do my job.
Without even thinking.
Without thinking about it. That was just my job. And now my job is actually, after this podcast, I'm doing an hour on the treadmill. I got to read a book, and I cannot be asked in any shape or form. But I have to do it.
Okay, so we're still in the realm of talking about cardio. So just to close that, most people who think they're going to cardio off their food, they ain't.
No, 20 minutes on a treadmill is not going to get rid of the dominoes.
No. And I would say what you propose isn't a bad idea, but people need to be a little less greedy. Like, have a 3,000 calorie cheat meal on a Saturday, you know, plan a day where you can have that day to eat what you want. Can you not wait 6 days for the bevy? Can you not wait 6 days for the pizza? Surely you can. And plan around that then.
Yeah.
And you can do stuff there. What I do with people, and many people are like this, is let's say I want to put you on 2,000 calories, Rich. I'll be like, well, 2,000, 7 days of the week, you've got 14,000 calories a week. Let's do him a little lower Monday to Thursday because he's rammed with work. He's dead busy. Let's keep him low. He doesn't need the food. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, give him an elevation.
Yeah.
And plan the cardio accordingly. And that works really well. So I think that
it's doable.
You can do that in a week.
You can work around
But if anyone
it.
wants to eat pizza every day and drink wine,
It's okay. I'll just go on the treadmill in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't think that Domino's meat feast is going to shift.
You both count your steps and you try to keep your steps high.
Yeah.
Why do you do that? What? That's not even really cardio, is it?
No, it's not. It's just
not.
neat.
It's non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Yeah. Like another aspect of the thermogenesis kind of branch. It's the other element of calories. You have what you take in and what you put out, and NEAT fits in that, as well as your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So NEAT isn't cardio really. It's not elevating your heart rate. It's just what you do.
It's easy to recover from as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's taking. I'll take the dog around the block, and it's like I haven't done anything.
Yeah.
It's frustrating as hell if you don't do steps every day. Like me, 2K a day if I'm lucky. So I've got to do an hour on the treadmill.
To even be close to catching
I do
up,
6,000, so there's 8.
Yeah.
And then I haven't done my cardio for the day, so I'll do the Muay Thai, or I'll have to do a run. I'll do something else. And I feel like half my life is just training.
Trying to catch up.
I'm like that American billionaire stereotype now, where they become a billionaire, they train BJJ.
Yes.
And they read like sick books on philosophy.
You're
and
a
just,
podcast bro.
Yeah, I'm a bro.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
a bro
proper
now. I just
podcast
live
bro.
to try and burn off the food I'm eating in this perpetual cycle.
I never believed in the steps thing until I went back to doing door work last year. Do you remember a little stint when I went back on?
Yeah.
And
that was a crazy time in your life. Wasn't it?
it was a bit of a weird time.
Jesus.
But what I found, because I don't get that, I wasn't at the time getting that many steps, is I started to get leaner. Because you stand from 8 until, well, we wouldn't get back in the car. By the time we cleared everybody out, had a chat, you get back in your car at 4, at a time where you'd normally be doing nothing. So you're basically 8 hours on your feet. It's not cardio.
And what was your sleep like? Because that's a weird cycle
was
of life.
horrible.
So you're probably active and alive a lot more.
Yes, with some adrenaline bumps and a bit of activity. It was supposed to do 2 nights a week. Like, oh yeah, I like Richie, he's nice, bring him on again. Then it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Teddy's not in.
Can you just jump on a Sunday for us?
Sunday? I don't do Sundays.
Yeah,
Come
you
on,
do.
lad, this Sunday we just want you've not done, have you ever done door work?
I've never done door work, no.
Sunday night.
Sunday night's horrendous.
So Sunday night, as in Sunday to Monday, you're talking about?
Yeah,
Yes.
as in
So
start
Monday morning.
at 6 or 7 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon / evening. It's the maddest night, isn't it?
You've got the grafters who've finished their rounds for the weekend who want to get bladdered. You've got it's weird collections of people, isn't it, who shouldn't be together in a room.
It's horrible. It's all the people at work on a Saturday go out on a Sunday. So
And
you
they're
get
getting
all,
it out.
all the dorming.
So you're 2 a.m. on a Monday morning, 300 calories at 3 rounds,
Yeah.
Muay Thai outside.
Yeah.
It's the worst. There would be the worst fights. If anybody's ever got an injury or like, I remember it wasn't a Friday, it was a Saturday.
They train for it, that's why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When it's booming on a Saturday and you're like, everybody's on their toes. It's Saturday night. It's going to go off. Fine. Sunday, also the lads are tired. You're a bit grumpy and you're a bit, I don't fucking want to be. Everything's off on a Sunday.
Horrible.
And I got scragged across my face last time I was working it. But I noticed just through standing, I don't even think the steps are that high, where I normally would either be asleep or just sat on the couch doing nothing after 8 o'clock.
It's gigantic.
And you can't eat. Well, you could sneak a bit of food here and there, like a chicken sandwich.
But it's not, you're not sitting down and having
You'd rather be
a meal.
fasted though, wouldn't you, to perform that kind of work? You don't want to be slow like that after a meal.
100%. And I started to think, oh shit, that actually is making a difference. So now I actually, with the steps, I actually keep up with it. And it helps. It really
step
does
thing
help.
was weird because it came into the space and then it was a bit villainized, I think.
Yeah.
People
There's no proof. It was, people were saying it was just something made up by a pedometer company or
people were saying it's a
or
gimmick
something.
and I was like, I don't see what's a gimmick about such a nice variable.
Well, we're back to physics again. How
It's
like it.
People were trying to say, if you're different height, steps means different things for everyone. I'm like, once again, you're proving you're not a coach to me.
Yeah.
Because you're not understanding how to use the tool.
No.
It's a great tool.
It's a fantastic
If I strap
tool.
a heart rate monitor to a client or a Fitbit and I know it doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. It's just a gauge. It's something. And that gauge allows us to communicate and be truthful with each other. And I think stuff like that really works.
Yeah, I've found it massively helpful.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you what you find most annoying in the fitness industry. One of the answers I got from my peer, Mr. Daniel Wilson,
Hi there.
was virtue signaling.
Virtue signaling is, there's not a lot of it going on at the moment, but whenever it's like someone high up in the industry will say something and then somebody else will say it and then somebody else will say it and somebody else will say it. And it always seems to be around, look at me, I'm so up on everything that's going on and I support everybody and there's this, that and the other. It just pisses me off a little bit.
There's I wanted to ask about this to Rich as well and yourself. There's I'm not good with politics, but there is a bit of a left and right to fitness.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
And I had 2 names thrown at me the other week and someone said, this is the political fitness spectrum. And it had like James Smith on the left.
Yeah.
Like the liberal, like everybody eat what you want. It's all good.
Yeah.
Like just do what you need to do.
He's changed a little
Is
bit
he?
now, have you noticed?
Well,
yeah.
well, I had Eddie Abu on the right.
Oh my God.
You know Eddie
I know
Abu.
both of these names.
Yeah,
Eddie
there you
Abu.
go. These are
Shit.
Eddie Abu was like,
Shit.
well, look at all the chemicals in it. And I'm thinking, mate, the fucking universe is made of chemicals, you know, you're going to be surprised. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. I'm like, that's fucking terrible advice, mate.
That's a weird thing to
He just
say
goes.
to
He
people.
just goes around supermarkets, doesn't he? Throwing
is
things
like
in the fucking thing.
The dictator of the right, where he's like, if it ain't natural, don't eat it. To the point where like he doesn't realize that we as human beings aren't particularly like he doesn't get it.
Yeah.
But it still influences people. Both of these people influence people. You know, the James Smith side, I don't think they're bad people, but he will make people feel shit for being proud about their progress, like shouting about it on social media. He's like, you know, don't make people feel bad. And
I saw
he's
him.
very like,
saw him and Chris Williamson in Dubai. I paid £100 to watch them both talk for an hour. What a fucking waste of my time.
Really?
I left.
Really?
Yeah,
Chris Williams just rabbiting on boring, go nowhere stories about famous people he's met and little nuggets of wisdom he's got from them. I left.
Yeah.
It was awful.
They seem
was
fabricated in a way, like the James Smith aspect. He made his career ripping the Body Coach. You must remember that.
Yeah.
Joe Wicks, who, for the time, he was just doing his own thing. And, you know, James Smith was just pigging on the back of him, made a career off him. And now James Smith's the first fella to go, come on, guys, don't be trying to make careers ripping, bashing people and bringing them down.
Yeah.
And like, that's, you know, that's not a...
Yeah. What's his angle? What's he know? What's he good at?
Making videos. He's an entertainer, really.
Yeah.
I consider these people entertainers.
Let me.
Yeah, I consider him
Is
entertainers.
James Smith very, very strong?
What?
Is he very strong at lifting weights?
Nah.
Is he very muscular?
Nah.
Is he very lean?
Nah.
What the fuck is he? I'm only joking,
Andrew
mate.
Tate,
I'm only pulling
yeah.
your pudding.
He knows his stuff. He's very, very good. And he's definitely got his own demographic. He's definitely got his own following, and he's done incredibly well. So
What's his demographic?
his demographic is
gotta be PT,
calorie fucking deficit is his thing.
His
Is it? Remember
demographic
CFD?
is
Calorie
fucking
fucking
PTs
deficit.
that have got no content. So they repost his content and go,
Yep.
yeah, James. Yeah,
Yep.
bro. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Eddie Abu's demographic is the normal person in the population who likes logic, but doesn't understand that. Like, there is great logic in people like Eddie Abu. He says, if you can't pronounce it, don't eat it. That sounds like a good idea. It's like, these are all foreign chemicals. Don't eat them. You can't pronounce them. I like that idea, but it's completely and utterly false.
Yeah.
But it's really easy to imprint on other people.
So the model that had been presented to you was that's like James Smith kind of left leaning.
That's what he said, yeah. And I don't fully get that, but
I kind of.
I don't. I
don't
never
really
understand the whole
politics.
left and right.
I don't.
stuff.
I would guess that
it's
James is a bit like liberal in the sense he's like, I eat ice cream every day and it fits my macros. And look at me, I have abs. So do what you like, guys.
It's you can do whatever you want.
He's like, he hates anyone that has a specificity to what they do.
Yeah.
Like bodybuilding. He doesn't like bodybuilders at all, James Smith.
Why?
Because he's like, I could have been a bodybuilder, but I decided not to be. He's one of those who done steroids once.
Oh.
No offense to him. He didn't really grow and blamed bodybuilders for it. And now he's anti-bodybuilding.
I'm surprised he's done steroids, yeah.
Yeah, he said, I did all the cycles and I wanted to be a bodybuilder.
Did all of the cycles?
All of them.
I
Everyone.
think so, yeah. All of the
27.
cycles. All of them.
How old is he?
I have no idea, man.
I think he's
under.
I've never aligned
no.
with his
I think
content.
he's like mid-30s.
Oh, okay.
I would say.
He'd
Probably
be making
low
good money
30s.
though, and that's the
my
main
God,
thing,
he's
like,
absolutely
yeah.
terrible.
Yes, he will be if he's charging people £100 to waffle on about fuck all.
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed.
I can see that.
Yeah,
he
you
didn't
might-
hide it very well.
Well, I'm not a fitness person. So the person I was sat next to is a fitness coach. And I was like, I don't understand this. You're not lean. You're not strong. You're not muscular. Are you just a lad? Are you just a skinny, fat lad? And I'm supposed to listen to you because...
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. There was nothing... This is a little bit of an old man rant.
He's going off here.
A
Isn't
little
he?
bit of an old man rant
I'm a
here.
little bit.
We're getting
I don't know what's going to happen next
I
here.
think what people like is the foam, not the content. It's the style.
Yeah.
It's stylish to be indifferent and cool and ironic. Lads, you don't even need to do this. So look at me, I'm in my trunks because I don't give a fuck, yeah? I'm going to eat this sandwich and be covered in donut. Fuck off, will you, mate?
Yeah.
He's got... honestly, like you talk about virtue signaling, that's virtue
He's a virtue
signaling.
signaler, 100. He is that. He categorizes. If anything happens in the news, it's his time to make content. It's like, I must now make this relevant in the fitness industry.
I hate all that.
I do. And when people ask me, this is the funniest thing, and I don't mean no offense, but I kind of do. People ask me, they go, how do I build a good coaching business, Tyler? Like, how do I get loads of clients and make that 10K a month? How do I do it? Do I buy James Smith's ebook? Do I buy this guy's ebook? And I go, well, mate, I've done this a long time, and I'll tell you what I did. I looked like the fucking product that I'm trying to sell, or I lived it.
Yeah.
And that is all you can do. And they don't ever want to face that as an option.
No.
They go, well, you know, the guys who build Formula One cars, I said this last time, can't drive them. It's just fucking train, build some muscle, go through the process,
It's
find
not
the
that
issues.
hard.
It's not.
It really is.
That's what gets me.
Yeah. I mean, I could. Yeah, I won't go into a rant, but I was talking to a friend of all of us the other day in the gym. We got into this. She was on the treadmill next to me, so we went off on it a little bit. It's not that hard, and I'm not being a dick. Like in psychology, if you're going to go out and say, I'm going to teach psychology on the subject of, let's say it's ADHD, you better deliver something that is relevant to ADHD. If you're going to be in the fitness space, the three things that I just said, my opinion, my humble opinion, you should be lean, or you should be really fucking strong, or you should have some muscle mass.
Yeah.
And
You should be
into
physically
hypertrophy.
capable, 100%.
Ideally, you should be in all three, but I'll let you off. No, I'm just about keeping people lean and I stay lean. I run triathlons, right? Or I'm fat, but I'm fucking strong as fuck. I'll let you off.
Yeah.
But really, you should be able to show something in all three categories. And a lot of them, they don't.
You need that trump card.
Yeah.
That card that goes, okay, I get what you're saying. Boom.
Yeah.
I'm very strong. I've been very lean.
Yeah.
I've walked the path you're on.
Yeah.
Like, you need that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't bother me if people couldn't do that. What bothers me is that they don't think they need that. They'd rather say, no, it's about your marketing, bro. It's about the content. It's about the reels. It's about engagement. People are going to buy from people that look like they've walked the path. Simple as that.
I think,
Get over it. Like, that's it.
Definitely. Like, but people, I don't think people would buy from me if they looked at me and was like, if I was 21 and fresh-faced and like, hi, I'm going to tell you about narcissistic abuse. People are like, really?
No, I think you need to have lived it a little bit.
You need to look like you've been through it. You need to sound
a little bit of life
Yeah.
experience. It's like you get these life coaches that are like you've just said, 21 years old, still live at home with the mum and dad.
What?
What are you
It's true, innit?
What are you going to say?
What are you going to teach me?
How are you going to help me?
They used to have that argument inside of the martial arts where they'd say, you can be fat and be a martial arts coach. And what they were forgetting is that a lot of the guys they were looking at used to be in shape. Like there's fat Muay Thai trainers. I used to train under a guy called Mr. Pimu. He was a tank.
Yeah.
They call him Pump Boy, which means chubby boy in Thai.
Pump boy.
Pump boy. Pump boy. But when he was a fighter, he was ripped as fuck when he was a lad. And then he quit, as the Thais do. They just go, right, quit on the rice, on the beers, and he just blew up. But he was something at one time. And I don't buy it. I don't buy like a fat coach is going to train you to be lean or a weak coach is going to train you to be
Unless
strong.
they've got the history of doing it.
Unless they used
Unless
to.
they've got
I
a
100%
portfolio
agree,
like
yeah.
this was me 5 years ago. However, now I can't be
That's
arsed.
why I had to leave
However,
Eddie a bit
I can-
alone because I knew he'd competed with Ronnie. And I was like, Eddie, please stop coming stop being sent to me, please.
Sent to me.
Because I knew he'd competed with Ronnie. He was a tier bodybuilder, absolute A tier.
I've just made up a fake fantasy scenario where I would accept it. So like a Russian guy walks into the gym and he's a fat, chubby little fella. And he's like, I've never done it, but I've trained. Here's the coaches that I did. What do they do? What's the weightlifting thing do where they clean and jerk? And
Yeah,
it's a
clean and
weightlifting.
jerk,
It's called weightlifting.
It's called weightlifting.
Olympic weightlifting.
Weightlifting's called weightlifting, Tyler, just so you know.
It's when you lift a weight.
See, this is why I need Danny here to explain these.
I'm here for you.
And he was like, "Look at these champions," or then yes, then yes. You've never done it. You can't do it, but you've got the ability to instill the discipline in people. Then yes.
I think it's just, I always go back to like ancient battles and stuff. And it's like, would you ever get led by a man who's never seen battle? Like, how would that ever happen?
Yeah.
How would you ever have any faith in him?
Yeah.
You know, if he can't pull you to the side and go, listen, I've been through 10 times worse. I know what you're feeling, but this is how we navigate it.
Yeah.
I don't see that you can't be a leader in that space. And I know people, and I feel bad because I guess if it's your first job, you're a PT, you're 21, you want to change your life. I love your inspiration and all that, but it's still going to take you 5 years to build a good business brand and name. Get over it. It is what it is. They want to skip that space and go straight to selling thousands of pound programs.
Who is this? Like people you know, mates?
Well, I mean, if you look at PTs, I'd say 8 out of 10 probably aren't that good.
When people are asking you for business advice, it's like people you know. Mates
People just say, hey mate, like, you know, what should I do to me content? And I used to be, and I still am, a massive people pleaser, but I've tried in the past few months to just be brutal and go, look, like your physique, how are you going to stand out?
Yeah.
And I've said this about content a million times, like fitness and transformations aren't about diet, and they're not really that much about training. They're not much about recovery. They're about telling the truth and having a truth with a coach that you can share and being accountable to that truth. And when I realized that the content's all wrong anyway, no one cares what sets and reps to do. Like, it's so superficial. You need to hold a human accountable.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
And that's how you make them change.
And you gotta believe. A lot of what we do when we buy on emotion, not reason. And it's usually like fantasy based, and you have like everybody creates their individual fantasy of the coach, their individual fantasy of what the coaching process will be. And then it's just trying to work your way into that, the fantasy of what your client has. When I tried to teach business last year, 95% of the people I spoke to were not prepared to do what it takes to actually get a business up and running. So they'd be like, I want money. Okay. I want a business. That sounds nice. I'm not prepared to fucking have 3 nervous breakdowns and work 20-hour days to make this happen because I'm clinically insane. And I'd be like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I can help you because this is going to fucking hurt. It hurts, right? Like building a business hurts. It sucks.
It's very harmful. And isn't it like 99% of businesses fail in the first 3 years, or is it 90?
I don't know the percentage, but it is the majority of them, isn't it?
And again, this isn't bashing anyone. It's just saying, like, if you're listening to this and you're interested, you need to be the product, and you are what you sell. You are the walking advertising board. Just like in a blood test, your HbA1c will tell you your last 90 days blood sugar. Your physique tells us what you've done for the last 90 days, or what you haven't done. And that's that.
There was something else I wanted to mention about virtue signaling. Do you know that virtue signaling comes from a term in biology? Do we ever talk about? What are those antelope-like things that the South African rugby players have on their shirts? What are they called?
Antelopes.
Could you look up South African antelope?
Rugby, yeah.
There's a specific type. It's not an antelope. It's one of these prey animals.
Springbok.
Thank you.
Here for you again.
Thank you. Yes. Now, when they want to mate, they signal to each other, and a lot of animals signal to each other. And springboks do something called spronking, which is where the males...
That's not a word.
Spronk. Yeah, they spronk. Could you put it in YouTube, spronking? We might see an animal spronking.
I don't know. Is this what we want to see? Or
Yeah.
What they do is they jump, and the higher they jump, pronking, not spronking,
pronking springboks.
Oh, let's watch this. This would be relaxing. Look at that.
I would. It's doing it for me.
Isn't that arousing?
Yeah.
Now, if you were a female springbok, you would be wetter than an otter's pocket at this moment in time, because the higher they jump and the better they jump, the better their genetics are.
Yeah.
And there's loads of examples in the animal kingdom of that. So this is signaling. Now, so you have signaling. Now, what some sneaky fuckers in the animal kingdom have worked out to do is false signaling. So they fake with colours, with dances, they pretend to be of a genetically higher caliber than they are, and that's where virtue signaling comes from. It's a type of false signaling, because what you're doing is you're implicit within virtue signaling it's that you're claiming to have the compassion, but it's actually a false signal to the other animals, the mammals, the humans in the pack. You don't have that compassion.
Wow.
You're pretending to be like, oh, do you want to eat that ice cream? You can eat that. I'm not like those mean coaches. I'm the cool liberal coach. Yeah. And I'm going to just do what you want, mate. You only live once. Fuck it. We're all going to die anyway. Fuck it. That's a false signal. And that's virtue signaling. And I do get a little bit upset with this. Like I can feel my forehead starting to get a bit sweaty.
Now you've described it. I'm definitely against this whole...
This is...
Spronking.
Yeah,
spronking.
No more spronking. but it's the social media rewards this. Yeah. So I would look at some people and I'd be like, how the fuck do you have so many followers and so many likes?
Yeah.
And it's not the content. It's the foam on the content. It's like... if you hit the right notes and you're snarky and you're sarcastic and you're like, hey guys, just an that's what they're fucking liking.
Yeah.
It's not the content because there's no fucking content there.
Unfortunately, some of the best coaches or some of the best online businesses, they're not good at what they do. They're good at marketing. They're good at signaling. They're good at putting on a show to get people through the door. And then the product that they've got
sucks.
Isn't that good?
I suppose marketing is a kind of signaling, isn't it? And what we want to make sure we're doing when we're marketing is that we're not doing false signaling. We're doing authentic signaling.
Yeah. Especially because like now you've mentioned it, you've sprung a lot of ideas to my mind from coaches that I just know that change their message whichever way the wind blows. 1 week it's before and after pictures are bad. You shouldn't be making people compete to have a better picture at the end and all. And then 6 months later they're doing before and afters, and people don't realize how congruent your image has to be to remain respected.
And why? Okay, so let's use that specific example. Say if I'm doing a business analysis and just from a marketing point of view, and I see a coach who's saying, hey guys, before and after photos, they're bad. The first thing I do is I go to that coach and say, what are you selling again? Don't you have a job?
Yeah.
Your job is to make people leaner, stronger, or more muscular. I can't think of anything else in the space that you're supposed to be doing. Well, more aesthetic, we would say. What is this? Stick to your job.
Yeah.
I know, and I am aware, like people will try and pull you away from your job. People do this with me every day. I get these stupid questions, passive aggressive comments and all that. And I feel like saying, hello, my name is Richard Grannon and I will help you on social media for free. Overcome narcissistic abuse or CPTSD. There's nothing else I'm here for. But I don't write that to people because it's silly. It's immature, but I say it to myself.
It's true.
Just remember your fucking job. Don't get pulled off the path. That's a message to other coaches.
I like that message for myself personally because on Instagram I find sometimes I'm like, I get my personality mixed up with my mission.
Right.
I'm there to change your life and you transact with me on that and that's the end of that.
That's it.
I don't really have any other resistance on social media.
No.
Bought a funny few memes, but like besides that, like you say, it is your workplace.
Yes.
And that's why I don't get to this day, how some people just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, we're just trying to do business.
And I think as well, from a business and a marketing point of view, that message, if it's not consistent, that's we're still talking about signaling. That's a very weak signal.
Yeah.
The signal has to be. The last person I coached for fitness, I was like, now you become a rigid proselytizer of your dogma. And this person was like, well, I'm not really sure about my dogma. I said, don't care. You are.
Yeah. I don't care.
You are. You don't, like, this is what you've chosen. You've told me this is the essential of your system. Now you batter people with this again and again, because everybody's got a low attention span, and they've got you. You exist as a tiny avatar amongst 20, 30 avatars in their head with one function. They can't have you for 2 functions, 3 functions.
Crazy, that,
I'm coming to you to get in good shape. I'm coming to you to get lean. I'm coming to you to get, that's it, or what they're coming to me for. And that's where I see, like, marketing, social media's perverted it.
Yeah.
It's perverted the whole process.
And it's oversaturated, isn't it? Where a lot of people will get in the space, and like you've said, I've seen them come and go, but it's like they just use the platform not in the right way.
Well, they use it personally.
That's exactly, yeah.
They're using it in a like take Instagram. I go to your profile. I don't mean disrespectfully, but this is how I teach people in marketing, and my language is like this. I'm a dumb consumer. I mean me. Like, I'm chubby. I want to get ripped. Now I'm a dumb consumer. I'm going to come to different profiles and be like, how you make me what I get what I want. That's it. I'm stupid. Yeah. You have to communicate to me in a very clear way that it's you. If I go to your Instagram profile and it's like pictures of you in a thong, well, first of all, where's your OnlyFans link?
Yes. Jesus. That's next.
But like, I'm just saying, it's all a message. It's all a communication. What are you communicating? Are you telling them? It should be crystal clear. You give me an amount of money for this result. Yeah. Can I say that? No. Can I talk about? No. Can I say no? Just that's it, over and over again. And that's what you want to because it's not like you're going to run out of content there. If you go deeper and deeper, like you said, if you go deeper and deeper into it, say your thing just becomes fat loss. Fucking, are you reducing fat loss? If you're keeping up with the research, if you're keeping up with the polemics in the space, the different debates that are going on in the space, it's never ending.
That's exactly.
You'll be dead before
it's not even what you sell, is it?
No.
I've got a lot simpler over the years and got to the point where now I have that much confidence in myself, and I'd like to think it's not arrogance, but I've just changed that many people's lives. I've had that many people come to me that I can just look at you and say, this is what it costs. Yeah. I'd love to help you. Maybe I can, and it won't affect me either way. And once you get to that level, you realize why people make the content that they make, because it's just a cry out for, like, they want more business, but they just don't realize what creates business.
Yes.
And work on yourself, show what you're trying to get out there, and be very clear in what you're trying to do.
You know what? I've just realized what my peeve was. It's become clear for me now. When I said social media perverts the marketing, it's because there's a separate economy. You can either market a product, which is, let's say, it's Danny and Tyler's Get Massive course.
Get Handsome
course. Or you can be diddling people for likes and follows. And I think they're too divergent. And the likes and follows thing is less honest. I
know people that have had 3,000-4,000 followers that have done 20-30 grand a month in a business. I know people that exist like that. And I know, well, I don't know personally, but I've heard of, the typical girls that have 2, 3, 4, 5, 600K that don't really make much money at all.
No, yeah.
Because it's not about the width of your pool, it's about the depth.
That's 100%. Give me 100 followers on Instagram, but they're millionaires who love what I do.
Yeah,
people do not get that if you know 100 millionaires, you have 100 millionaires following you, you've got a business for life.
You're going to be okay.
You're going to be very wealthy. It doesn't matter how many numbers matter after that.
It was the other thing in the business coaching course. I could not break through to people. They were obsessed with numbers on YouTube, numbers on Instagram, numbers on TikTok. I'm like, numbers in the bank is the only thing we're here for. Everything else is shit.
Yeah.
It's just, you can buy that. You can fake it. You can have, what do they have? Like, can't you pay services in like India and Pakistan and they'll come along?
Oh, you can buy followers now. Yeah, it's gone ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Since the blue tick thing, people have been buying way more now because they look legit.
Yeah. Because
But like you said, what's legit? What's in your bank? What's legit? What's going to bed with you at night in your own head of, do I have a stable business?
But
Am I
that
okay?
meant that the number of people that I had in that space, not all of them, but not even most, it was a minority, but it was over 20%, were there to flex on social media. And I was like, that is not the name of this course. And I told you from the outset, I'm trying to put money in your bank. You want to flex on social? I don't know how to do it. There's probably a system.
It's evil though, isn't it? Like it's. I'd love to know from you. It's evil to yourself because you can fool everybody else quite easy. But fooling yourself, that's got to come with some ramifications long term.
I would think so. I think the biggest social influencers now will see going the maddest. Literally, you'll be able to track it. The more of a following they have, the more crazy they're going to go in 2024 and 2025.
Wow.
Because it's built on nothing. It's fluff. And well, not just nothing, but bad stuff, outrage, indignation, division.
Yeah.
There's so many more likes on a post if you wind people up.
Yep.
Men and women, get them fighting. Left-handed people versus right-handed people, different races, get them fighting. It gets loads of likes.
I wish people knew this, because I was a bit oblivious to it for a while, but I'd see a video on Instagram or Facebook and in the first 10 seconds they'd mispronounce a word or they'd get something wrong on purpose.
Yep.
So people in the comments go, you don't know that.
You said that wrong. And I'm like, they've got you round their finger, mate. Yeah. You're boosting their post.
The first time I ever saw people do that was on Facebook. And I was like, you don't realize that the Facebook algorithm is measuring the gravity of the post by how long you stay on the post and how much you comment. So Facebook's like, people stay on here for 10 minutes. What do they do? It's a 2-minute long video, just hammering out essays to each other going, you silly twat, you don't realize you don't put the tool in that way. They know that, mate. They've fucking done you. You've fallen into the trap.
Yeah.
You big knobs. The problem is people are stupid. Now then.
People are stupid.
They're simply stupid, Daniel, and there's no IQ gate to the internet.
No, apparently not.
You said another thing that annoys you is this fetish for fasting.
It is a fetish.
What is your...
It's a fetish for fasting. I think I'm a fan of fasting. I think as a modality, we were talking about before, weren't we? It's incredibly useful. For some reason, everyone's doing 8 and 9 day fasts now. Is that necessary? Probably not. If you are fasting for health reasons, and then you go back to having 2-for-1 Greg's steak bakes, 3 monsters a day, not going to sleep.
What's the American
scrolling your social media?
What's the American equivalent of a steak bake?
A steak bake? I don't know.
A Taco Bell or something.
Taco Bell, maybe.
Some burrito from
some minging burrito.
Yeah, something shit. If you're going to use it as a reset, if you're going to use it and go, right, I'm going to have a hard reset now. I like using 24-hour fasts for mental reasons with clients. Go 24 hours without eating. That's what hungry feels like. What you've been mistaken as hunger is appetite. Appetite's emotional, hunger is physiological. So people are doing these 8-day fasts, but then going back to doing exactly what they were doing before. If you're doing an 8-day fast as a reset, and then after 8 days of, you can kind of almost, I hate the word, you can almost say detoxing from your old habits, you then get into eating fruits, veg, meats, that kind of thing. Crack on.
Are you saying...
Am I saying?
That I have to permanently alter my habits for the rest of my life instead of just endure pain for a short period of time and then everything will be okay?
Ideally.
It sounds very similar to ice baths, doesn't it really?
Well, you get the same benefits. If you do an 8-day fast, people talk about autophagy and cell regeneration and all that, which, fine. If you lose a little bit of weight and eat a bit better, you're going to get the same benefits, but you don't have to go 8 days without eating any food.
Yeah.
I can't think, you defo couldn't do 8 days.
I tried fasting just out of curiosity. After 12 hours, I'm not in a good place.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's like 12 hours from the sleep as well. It's not 12 in the day.
His left delt is like, fucking eat now. I'm going to knock it out.
I am my stomach's on fire when I fast. But I love what you said. Like, I think they're just a blunt tool. They're a big wrecking ball, fasts.
Yeah.
Okay, your life's an absolute mess. You're having digestive issues, health issues, brain fog, whatever. But let's hit you with a fast. Let's just cleanse the system. It psychologically goes down well with the individual.
Yeah.
And from some perspective, it makes a bit of sense. But consistent fasting, I don't think is something people need to practice in that much, not that long. I talked about intermittent fasting because I think that's the most realistic way of living with it,
100%.
especially with the modern human. But what you're mentioning about autophagy and senescent cells, the book by David Sinclair, Lifespan's really good because he found about sirtuins and basically senescent cells, zombie cells they're called, where basically on your DNA, I'll butcher it, in your DNA, over the course of years, information's lost. But that lost information sits around, it's called a senescent cell. And it is like a zombie to cells around it, so they can become problems. The idea behind fasting is when you don't eat, you have this stage of adversity in your body where your body's like, oh shit, like we haven't got all these new building blocks coming in of amino acids. What are we going to do? Well, let's clean up the system. Let's start clearing up what we got around here. Let's use this, let's use that. And that is like the benefit. But there has been research to show that realistically, it's not really as simple as they suggested.
No.
The human body adapts, man.
Yeah,
Like,
but we spoke about this before, didn't we?
Yeah.
The human body gets used to what's happening.
yeah.
If you're not going to eat for 8 days, I
Most
literally can't think of anything
longevity
worse.
scientists like David Sinclair, who is a cool guy, he does fasting, but it's all intermittent. It's like, let's mimic natural biology.
Yeah.
Let's not eat me breakfast. Let's have a bunch of water, do a bit of exercise, and then towards the back end of the day when circadian rhythm makes sense and dopamine and serotonin have changed around, I'll eat then. And they do that. But these multiple day fasts, I'm not quite sure on.
Not at all.
Will your body have a preference for whether it selects to, what's the opposite of hypertrophy? Atrophy.
Yes.
Eat the muscle or the fat? Or does it do both?
I think you're going to lose a bit of both, aren't you?
If you're fasting, yeah.
100%
People
you
are
are.
dreaming if they think they can have a bit of glutamine and protect muscle tissue.
Your body's not going to sit there and go, just the fat, lad.
Just that, please.
Leave the muscle
Just
alone.
that one there.
That is why when people say to me, why don't you fast? If it's like, well, they ask me about it and I say, well, I come from a bodybuilding background and my philosophy will probably be the same for a while. I like to be nourished frequently. Because to me, that makes sure my body knows what the priority is. It knows muscle. We protect that because we eat a lot of protein. That makes fat at the forefront of oxidization for energy. But in fasting, it's probably more indiscriminate. You can't really twist them taps on and off when you've got no food.
So I guess the only thing that would help with that would be drugs. Would drugs
Introduce
be
an
like-
anabolic hormone, and you've got Liver
gonna-
King's diet where you just eat meat at 6 o'clock in the afternoon every day.
And
testicles.
when you're testicles.
And you're giant.
When you're with some anabolic hormones in your system, your body might preferentially choose to keep the muscle over the fat.
Atrophy just doesn't exist. Like with natural individuals, I'm not mistaken, you're like anabolic for 2 hours or 3 hours a day.
Really?
When you're on anabolic steroids, you're anabolic for 24 hours a day. The nitrogen retention is massively increased. There are changes that on the surface level are just dramatic.
Yeah.
And I always say to people as well, it's lifelong. So if someone's done testosterone and you're a natural fighter, and I have this with a lot of UFC people, it's like, you're fighting someone that's been on steroids 6 years ago. That's very fucking relevant, even right now, because the changes are so dramatic.
Yeah.
There was another coach that I was chatting to on this very couch last week, Amy Harris, and I told her that when I was in Malaysia when I was 30, I was like, I was at 101 kilos, but like with a triple chin and like 5 bellies and some heavy, weighty breasts. Beautiful. And
Delicious.
I tried the 16-hour fasts, and it was I can't remember who created. It's like the warrior diet or something.
Yeah.
You fast. You do gentle cardio, 30 minutes in the morning. You start your food at midday. You eat a little bit, then you do weights at night, and then you eat a proper meal after you've done weights.
Yeah.
I did that over and over again for a few months and got really, really lean.
That sounds good.
And she listened to me saying all this, and she went, I wonder if you would have got the same results if you just ate the same calories at any time of day. And I went, listen here, I like my magical fucking warrior diet.
Yeah.
But
People like that though. People like following a protocol.
I needed that protocol.
Yeah.
I needed the fantasy.
Yeah.
I need, like I was saying to you before, I needed to be in the mindset of I'm doing this thing, and that worked for me. And to get up, because to me that was extreme because I was so fucking lazy at the time. It was the shitty disused tennis court in Malaysia in 35-degree jungle heat, and I just go up and down it for half an hour, wait, finish the fast, eat, go to the gym, eat again with my mates at the gym, sleep, repeat. And I that worked for me, and I stuck with that. But she was right. It was just calorie control.
But I also think and I don't think there's a place for this in the fitness industry yet. There isn't a name for it, but we are creatures of ritual, aren't we?
Yeah.
Whether it's religion, whether it's society, we love ritual.
We like following stuff, don't we?
75 hard.
Yeah.
It's a collection of random shit done together.
Yeah.
It's probably good for your life, but just fucking spread it out, man.
I must have a mindset for this because I also got good results with 75
And I think
hard.
it gets great results, but like it is but it's not a problem for it to be a fancy. I don't think I think it should be encouraged.
Well, did we speak about this privately or publicly? Like we were talking about to do martial arts, it's actually, you have to have a fan. Yes, we did.
We spoke about this on a podcast.
On the podcast, yeah. So the fancy, you're a bodybuilder. You're thinking in that moment when I get up on stage and I do the poses and whatever, and then I win. That's your endorphin release fancy moment. If it's cage fighting, Muay Thai, whatever it is, you have a fancy that you're directed at. But stuff like this, I think it was called the Warrior Diet and 75 hard. The other side of it is just protocol. Yeah. I need a protocol. I need to know what I'm doing that day because I don't know.
I think rules are good. Yeah. And the problem is with fitness, there aren't any, like really, apart from the calorie rule and then a bunch of other stuff that goes into a lot. That's where coaches come in. They find the rules that fit you. They find your ways of influence. They go, how can I get into this guy's head? What makes him tick? And that's where the power of the fantasy comes in, doesn't it?
Was it Ralph Waldo Emerson that said, teach a man the principle and he can work out his own method?
That sounds like a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote.
So obviously, if we're talking about fat loss, the principle is calorie deficit. But if you want to do keto, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And if you want to do paleo, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So that's the way that you're going to make this principle happen. But they all work on the same principle. I've got mates who absolutely love keto, absolutely love it, and I've got mates that are carnivore, and I've got mates that do all manner of things. Yeah. But it's still the same principle.
That then reminds me back to the left-leaning, right-leaning styles within training. What we're talking about is more of a right-leaning style. It's more authoritarian. It's more militant. It's a bit more rigid. It's a bit more dogmatic. I love all that.
I think I do.
You can't, on the 75 hard, no soda. You can have 2 litres of water a day. Yeah.
That's the James Smith. That would be the James Smith line. It would be like, you can either allow 0 calorie energy drinks, and I agree with him. They're not going to do anything. Yeah. But then I also bend to the other side and go, but I can see why you'd remove them.
Yeah.
I can see why you'd do that. Yeah. So it's finding what's right for the individual. And there's a responsibility on both halves to say, hey, just so you know, there are plenty of options. Yeah. But they're never going to do that because it's about monetary success, isn't it? Whereas coaches are meant to come in and go, right, 0 calorie drinks are absolutely fine. They're not really going to cause cancer. They're a great diet tool. However, do you really think at 30 stone, you need those over water right now?
Yeah.
And then you can make the decisions and educate them on it properly.
I think you've also realistically, you've got to look at your audience. We've spoke about this at least since 2016. There's what you tell your clients or if it was self-defense training, I'd be like, this is what you need to practice before next week. And I'd be like, here's what I've given you to practice, knowing full well it's gonna do this every day. And when I see them, did you do it every day?
There was a thing with a thing, and
they might have done it once.
Yeah.
But if they did do it once, I won. So I'll be like, I'll set it here, knowing that you're going to fucking do it here, and I'll take that as a win.
That's what I like the perspective of.
Yeah.
You know, forward thinking for the client. Like I said, it's not about if any of this or even psychology was as simple as, oh mate, here's the printout in a bit now. That's not our job in any way, shape or form, is it?
So then it sounds like you're almost at, well, it's the same thing as me. You almost have to tailor make a system to every individual that sits in front. Because I have to do that with psychology.
You do, yeah.
I have to be like, what are the metaphors? What's your motivation? What's your unique goals? And you have your tailor-made therapy system for you. So it's the same.
I would say a good coach does the same as that. I'm not going to put good fitness coaches on the level of psychologists, but once you get to a point where you realize how hard it is to change some people. If you work with bodybuilders and athletes, they're bodybuilders and athletes. Of course they do what they do. They're fucking easy. But normal people are hard nut to crack.
You can put fitness coaches on the same level as psychologists because I don't think there's any such thing as a successful fitness coach who doesn't have a good understanding of applied psychology. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't change anyone.
No.
It's fucking hard to get people to change.
No.
That's, again, where we spoke about like what PTs need to be doing, getting into the industry. that's the stuff they need to be doing. How do you, converse with people? How do you motivate them? Do you remember what matters to them? What's the point here? You know what I mean? And then your clients change. Like I've used to have clients that go, mate, I want to be in sick shape for Ibiza. And then 8 years later, I'm coaching people that just, oh, listen, I want to be able to play football with my son at 50.
Yeah.
And that's where you start going, right, how am I going to help this guy?
Yeah.
Because he's not some egotistical young fella who wants to look good for the girls. He's got a wife, he's sorted, he's got finances, but he's struggling to take himself seriously on his own journey.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. I mean, we've probably all done it. I've fell off loads now.
I'm more off than on. That's my life is just off.
It's hard.
What was I going to say to you? Oh, it was back to the business thing, just to close that loop, was I didn't say, but you just reminded me, when people are asking you, what should I be doing in my business? What should I be doing in my marketing, my content? The answer should be really fucking good at what you do.
Yeah.
Start there, you little prick.
Yeah.
Stop being lazy. Stop trying to get what I've got through 10 years of suffering and sacrifice, or 20 years, or however long it is. Be an amazing coach, or whatever your thing is. Be amazing at that. The market will find you. Yeah. People will always pay. If you're offering value, the market will pay you. They'll find you, but you've got to be exceptional at what you do.
Yeah.
Especially in a very busy space like the one you're in. But I don't take that as an excuse either, that it's a busy space. All that tells me is that there's a ton of demand for it.
This is the thing people don't get. And we said this, we touched on it before. I wouldn't even say 50, 30 clients will change your life. Maybe 15.
Yeah.
And people just need to lower their expectations. When you go out to become a psychologist, you're talking years of study, research, reading, theory. You can just be a PT next week legally. Yeah. And I think they need to start seeing their first 3 to 5 years as almost like an apprenticeship.
They should.
Because I charged, my first online client was in 2015 and I charged £30 a month.
Yeah.
If you told people now, inflation, whatever, you told them charge 50 quid a month, they go, you're fucking having a laugh, I'm worth more than that.
Yeah.
I wasn't worth more than that. I was testing my ideas, my theories.
That's ego, isn't it? You were prepared to put your ego to one side and do the graft.
I said to my mate, I went, listen, I come out of school, worked at Asda for £4 an hour. I couldn't believe people were willing to pay me 30 quid to learn about fitness from me. That was my dream. Yeah. I was like, are you serious? You're going to pay me to learn about the gym? That's all I talk about and think about. Yeah. And that's what I think people are missing. They're not really like that.
No, they need it. That's how I started life coaching, $20 an hour, because it was better than when we did 10 quid an hour on the living room. Yeah. And I'm sat. I can just sit. No one's trying to punch me.
Nodding.
Yeah. I'm just nodding. And how does that make you feel? Oh. You're still not fucking coming in. Sorry. Flashback. Yeah.
Surely people look at you now and go, oh, well, you're in Dubai, Rich. You're in Spain every day. How do I do what you do, Rich? Just sit around and counsel people.
That's what it is.
That's what you've come through.
They don't even think I do that. They think I just put a camera on. I go, all right, boys and girls, let's have a wait. Whoa, what do we? And then people call me up. How much does YouTube pay you to do that? I'm like, YouTube doesn't fucking pay anyone, you tit. That's not how any of this works. But if you don't know what you can only see what somebody's showing you.
We're all doing it right now.
Yeah.
We're doing a podcast that realistically, do we have to do it? I don't know. But we know how important it is to deliver a congruent message.
Yeah, you've got to deliver a congruent message.
Most people are like, I'm not doing a podcast. What's doing it for me?
Yeah. I want to be an online coach, but I'm not going to record any videos and I'm not going to write any content.
Yeah. Not market myself.
That would be my only pet hate is people not filming themselves. I'm like, don't be a coward.
Yeah.
Don't be a coward. If you don't believe in your knowledge that much, you won't even put your face to it. No wonder no one's buying your shit. I wouldn't.
I was walking into Sainsbury's, the one by Empowered yesterday, and a thought occurred to me. I started last year by trying to teach people how to do online business coaching. That was wrong. I should have gone up the stream. I should have taught people how to do public speaking. Because when we got to the point in the course on marketing, and I was like, social media, free marketing, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube's a bigger search engine than Google now, and it has been for 8 years. But wow, the eyes would just like blaze. And you'd see
fear.
You'd see fear.
Fear.
I've got to video myself. No, I was hoping to avoid that.
And up until that point, everybody's nodding and smiling and laughing along, and I was like, it's going to be on you. You're going to sit in a room on your own with a camera. Yeah. And I just, because, like, just my own blind spot, because for me, it was pretty easy. Yeah, that's fine. Just video yourself. And then yesterday, I don't know what set me off. I was walking in Sainsbury's, I was like, you tit. They can't do that. They can't do that.
I don't think many people can.
No. And it's one of the biggest phobias that people go to psychologists for.
Really?
Yeah, fear of flying, fear of this, fear of that. Fear of public speaking is, some psychologists will claim it's the number one fear. Fear of public speaking. It's fear of humiliation, isn't it?
Yeah. It's fear of other people's opinion.
Yes.
They can say stuff about you and you never know. You know what I mean? You're putting yourself out there and I struggle with it loads. I've did a video of myself for 10 years.
Cares. No one really comments and says,
I mean, yeah.
Do they?
And when you do get that, you know you're doing well. Like
Yeah.
I always say, when I get a bit of hate, which I haven't had any in a while, I'm a bit gutted, to be honest. I need to
We'll get some.
I need to
I'll
do
sort
more
some
shit.
later.
I'm either not saying
this'll
things.
sort it out.
Yeah. So the last few didn't. I need more hate. Give it to me.
We'll clip a little bit of this.
Yeah. But
we'll
when
put
you
it
know
out.
you're getting hate, you know you're in the threshold of like expansion.
To be honest with you, this is not me. This is a marketer that I had the pleasure of speaking to years ago because he worked in the self-defense marketing at the same time I did. A guy called John Carlton, and he was like, if you're not getting that response, you're being a pussy with your sales copy.
Yeah.
Push them until they push back. If you don't, and that's John Carlton sort of like, that's a reflection of the Dan Kennedy philosophy. Dan Kennedy, another brilliant marketeers with different specialities, would be like, imagine your client is sat at home on their couch, not wanting to do anything, and you've got to motivate them to get the credit card out, to send you a DM or whatever your sales process is. They don't want to.
Yeah,
you've got to give them a jolt. You've got to adrenalize them. You've got to spike them up a little bit, or you're going to get nothing at all.
Like you mentioned before, 100 millionaires following you. Most people probably watching this as well will probably get 100 views on an Instagram story.
Yeah. Like,
that's all you need.
Yeah.
Like, they're watching it. And I've suffered loads of the time with lack of confidence and stuff, but I have to resort myself out. But when I'm posting stories, I have to remember, okay, all you people watching it, you're watching me. Yes. And you know what you can do? You can unfollow me.
Yeah.
So I assume
100%.
that everyone watching it's interested.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if they're not, they'll sort themselves out. Otherwise, they're wasting their life.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's...
And that's how you got to see a lot of value in the people who are watching.
Yeah, I think what you've just said there has made me think, not only do I need to teach a bit of public speaking, but maybe like a whole psychology of coping with the fact that
you should. Yeah.
Like you shouldn't. I had someone who I was trying to help would jump on social media and be like, I only got 117 views. And I'm like, who cares? Like,
How many clients do you have? None?
Yeah,
you got 117?
Who are you comparing yourself to? Who wants to be popular in this degenerate, silly culture anyway?
Silly Billy.
Silly
I
Billy.
read somewhere it's best to be rich and anonymous than poor and famous. And I was like, that's... Most
right.
people want to be
my
poor
God,
and famous.
I'd give anything
They
to be
want to have
completely
fucking 10
anonymous.
million TikTok followers. They want to be viral, but they don't realize what a case that is.
Yeah, and it's all just ego. It really does. Somebody asked me about like the little bit of micro fame that I've got in the last 2 years, because in the last 6 months, the number of people who recognize me in the street has shot up. Don't know why, because the subscriber list hasn't. So not even the data we're getting is good, because the subscriber list is sort of it's increasing the same way it has. Suddenly I'm getting recognized. Is there anything good about that? Occasionally you have an interesting conversation with somebody that you otherwise wouldn't. I think that's as good as it gets. Yeah. That's it.
But I wouldn't say the risks, but what's the other side of the...
people hate me. And it's not actually, they don't even hate me. Like you said about hate, they don't hate me. That's completely false. They're jealous. And the fact I'm doing well, or you're doing well, or you're doing well as an avatar.
Yeah.
How you made me feel bad. You fucking prick.
I had a really good mentor, and he taught me something the complete opposite, because I'd stopped posting on social media for about a year because I was like, my results do the talking, my business is great, I'm all good, I don't need to post. And he said to me, that is the most egocentric thing I've ever fucking heard. He said, you think you're too good to get on there and make yourself vulnerable and to continue to offer what you do. He said, that's ego. And he was totally right. Yeah. I didn't want to post because I didn't want people to judge me. But that in itself is an act of me restricting myself. And then I realized the people with the ego aren't the ones posting. The people with the ego are the ones who think they're too good to put themselves at risk of others' judgment.
Yes, that's very true. And there is a way of doing it where the way I come at it is like the baseline state of humanity is massive fragility. People are really lonely. They're really disconnected. They're happy you're talking at all. Your audience isn't a bunch of your enemies being like, you fucking dickhead. It's a bunch of people just sat there going, will someone talk? Can someone help me? Yeah. Please, I'm really fucking struggling here. And you just getting on and smiling and going, you're right, how's it going? Did you get the gym today? This is what I'm going to do. that might be as much human contact as they got that morning. Do you know that's where I start from? The view that it's actually very fragile out there, not a bunch of people judging me.
It feels really good when you find mentors, because I've had a few now, a lot more since every podcast we've had. I've had more and more, and I think that's made me a lot better because I've went through what my clients go through. I've stalked someone on social media. I've seen what they're about.
Yeah.
I've been like, oh, he's making some good content to this guy.
Yeah.
And I start investing in their message, and then I go through and I pay them and I meet them for better or worse. And I think going through that experience yourself, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
You feel what they feel.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you realize your content is justified and it is great.
Yeah.
And it's valuable. And if it isn't, they can just unfollow you.
Yes. Feeling like your content is justified is very, very important to stop all that imposter syndrome and the anxiety. I've said it a few times to people who have tried to help with fitness coaching. You could extend someone's life.
Yeah. You're 100%. You help someone pull a thumb out their arse. They're going to be around for 10 or 20 more years. Yeah. That's a fact.
So if I was a pharmaceutical, see, this is a genuine case that I know because of a mate I had who was in pharmaceutical sales. So I'm in pharmaceutical sales and we have a very, very special and unique a course of tablets that when you have, there's a kind of cancer that I think it's in the spinal fluid and you're going to die. 100% it's terminal. But if you take this powerful drug, you'll get an extra 4 weeks with your family. And it's astra-fucking-nomically expensive. Wow. But in that context, in that situation, 4 extra weeks, you're still very, very ill. But you get an extra 4 weeks than you otherwise would and sort your affairs out. A lot of people elect to take it. It's leverage, isn't it? Yeah. What's the situation? What are you really offering? 20, not... Who wants 20 more years of shit life, waddling around, pissing yourself? No.
We'll ask that question again when you're on the slab and you're about to take your last breath and you're 55 years old.
Yeah. 55.
Do you want to, we spoke about getting an extra 20 years and you said you didn't want to. Do you remember?
But you can.
Would you like them now? Oh, you would.
You can extend their life. And you can extend the quality of their life.
100%. You've got health span and lifespan. And your lifespan is your time alive, but then your health span is being able to chase your kids and being able to do this and being able to do that.
Being able to kick a football around.
Yeah. This is the big bit of advice I'd have for another coach or anyone aspiring to make change is remember that's most people and fucking put them on their toes about it. Yeah. Because the second I started saying to men, so what is your goal? And they go, I don't know. I'm like, that's how you've ended up here. Yeah. You don't know.
Yeah. You got no purpose. You've got no mission.
They don't think about it.
And then you say, half of men say, I don't care because I'm going to be dead anyway.
Oh, yeah. That was my pet hate, wasn't it? It was something like, you start putting people on the toes about fitness and go, would you like to be in shape? No, I don't need to be in shape. It's vanity, lad. Would you want to live a bit longer?
Yeah.
I might get cancer anyway and die. So they're just this weird fallacy where it's like...
That's
a serious answer.
That's just total weakness. Yeah. And that's cowardice, by the way. That's cowardice. That's my get out of jail free card to not make the effort. There's no point anyway. That's like fake cynicism. There's no point anyway. I'll be dead anyway. Yeah. Well, leave a good looking corpse, you fat fuck. Yeah. Get in the gym.
Get a big coffin, lad. Big wide coffin at the shoulders.
For your delts and that. Kid there.
But people don't take it serious, do they?
Like, I think either they've really, really given up and they just feel like they're invisible and it's pointless, which is very sad.
I mean, it's dark, yeah.
Or they've never had health issues. Like after last year, I'm taking it seriously.
Everyone thinks that they're going to be absolutely healthy and there's no issues and everything's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favourite, I wouldn't say my favourite health issue, but
favourite health issue. My favourite affliction.
Well, this is what's going to get you, man. If you're watching, this is what's going to get you. Yeah. Symptom of a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or sorry, the symptom of heart disease is a heart attack. That's the symptom. Yeah. There's another one before that, really.
Yeah.
So that's not what you want to be waking up to in the middle of the night while your kids are in the house, while you went to sleep peacefully after playing your PS5. Like that's not a surprise you want to get.
Yeah.
And your job is to not be surprised by 100%. That, by training every day, eating the right food.
People think that they say you have a heart attack when you're 70. You don't just get that heart attack when you were 70. That heart attack has been building for 20 or 30 years. So it's, Peter Thiel calls it the slow death, doesn't he?
Blood pressure combined with
you're
plaque.
Just little nudges that are pushing you closer every single day. Arterial plaque. accruing, blood pressure not massively elevated, but just a little tiny bit. I would probably say the majority of people walking around are that their blood pressure isn't where it's supposed to be. And they've got no idea, because you think high blood pressure, you think red face and heart and everything. But if your blood pressure is just a little tiny bit elevated, just that little bit of pressure that's pushing and pushing and pushing over 20 years.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I can't believe he's gone. It's like, well.
Yeah.
I just think the fear of, in a selfish way, a heart attack. I'm terrified of that. Waking up in the middle of the night, my mate told me an experience he had. Someone was stood on his chest, his Fitbit was going, your heart rate's 195. And he's like, what? He's like, what's going on? And all he could do was panic and think, I'll leave a voice message for me daughter. And I was just like, it's dark.
And what was that, a small heart attack he was having?
I think it was tachycardia in the end, but it was still like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
You're completely still, but you're sweating. Your heart's coming out your chest as if you've just done a 100-meter sprint. You know you've got to go to the hospital. There's no way you're solving this on your own. The fear, that usually changes people, to be honest. But that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah. Don't let that change you. Because most men, we're all stubborn. We know we are. But you don't want to have to be that guy that's in the hospital the next day going,
no.
You want to be preemptive.
Yeah.
But people aren't interested, are they? Because you don't get it now.
Yeah.
If you do this, if you eat this, if you sleep like this, if you do this, you'll, in 20 years time or 30 years time, you're going to still be doing what you're doing now. I'm not really be asked.
It's wild, isn't it?
It's
not
weird,
really interested. This is gonna extend your stay on this earth.
Yeah.
Do it in a minute.
Is it? Yeah. Is it? Yeah.
I don't know.
It's madness.
It is weird
It's
because,
madness.
do you not enjoy your own body? Do you not? I mean, I'm not being vulgar. Do you not like having sex? It's quite nice. It's one of the few things that this evil God who created this awful simulation we're trapped inside of gave us is like 15 seconds of release. Do you not like orgasms? Because they will be better and you will have more and enjoy more. Like running feels good. Yeah. Lifting weights feels good.
At a base level, life's quite fun.
Yeah, yeah.
And if anyone's watching us and thinks it isn't, blood test.
Yeah,
that's my answer. Blood test.
I've got a mate who's a really good copywriter in fitness. I think he does more now. Mike Samuels, his name is. And he spoke a lot about, he's like, if you are trying to sell a fitness program and you are angling on the health aspect, people don't care.
That's really good.
People don't care.
That's really good, you know.
Yes, we know that if you do this, you're going to be around for your kids, blah, blah, blah. People don't fucking care.
No, that's good.
I mean, of course, like I said this about the NHS, like I've got no problem with them, but like people always think British healthcare is incredible. They're like, that's got to be the gold standard.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's not the gold standard.
I have something to tell you if that was your illusion.
If you don't have an MOT on your car, the police are going to take that car, hit you with a fine, and they're taking it off you, and you're in big, big trouble. You happen to walk around with clogged arteries, horrible respiratory ability, toxic thoughts. You're all good. You can live amongst us. You're all cool. They're not checking anyone. They're reactive, and reactive care is better than no care. But I don't see any proactive systems right now in the United Kingdom or Europe that are actually, what's your blood pressure every quarter? What's your blood's looking like every quarter? What's your blood sugar looking like every quarter? Like, why aren't we checking that stuff?
You know, not that it might have been the last podcast we did. Was the last podcast when I said, I might be dead in 5 to 8 years?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was it.
So that was about 8 months ago, I think. And they never told me to lose weight. So I lost not a lot of weight. I lost like 7 kilos from that podcast to now. Did more cardio because they said if you train your throat and your tongue to breathe more, you'll get less sleep apnea. My snore score now is at 0.
Wow.
It was at 98. I need to get retested for sleep apnea. And I don't have any of the symptoms at all. It's like 6 months. I didn't do anything mad. I didn't burst myself. Just dieted a little bit more, did a little bit more cardio, focused more on my sleeping. It wasn't that hard. But 8 months ago, they were saying,
you're going to die.
You will be dead, sir. Within 5 to 8 years, it's a stroke or a heart attack. And I was like, what do I need to do? I need to lose weight? No, you don't need to.
No, we're going to use a laser on your nose and we're going to cut your eyelids off and we're going to do this, that and the other.
They cut your tongue out, didn't they?
They wanted to cut.
Imhotep.
They said they wanted to cut widen my nose, shrink my tongue, and then widen my throat. Perverts. Weirdos. Like, your tongue's too thick. I know.
The scary thing is, I would expect people would want that option over the alternative, which is diet and training. Because it happens.
Isn't that insane?
It's insane.
They were this thing that they do for your nose, to open it, she was describing it to me. It's horrendous. 2 weeks of blocked nose, blood running down the back of your throat for 2 weeks. 2 weeks non-stop. When they do your throat, it's awful. When they obviously they're shrinking your tongue, it's awful. 7 months of a chicken salad and go for and it's gone. Are you mad? What kind of health professionals are these?
I like to think I read a lot of books on like the human brain, and I'm fascinated by humans and who we are and where we've come from. But it ceases to amaze me that a woman or a man, I won't be misogynistic, would genuinely cut their stomach in half, reduce its capacity forever by half, so that they can stop themselves feeding themselves. It's almost like they don't trust themselves.
Quite often they can't stop eating anyway, and it goes well.
Instead of going, I'm not going to eat that.
Up, doesn't it?
Okay, cut me open, sew my stomach together.
Talking about the gastric band.
Band. People pay for them?
Well, when I first heard about it, I was like, I'm surprised that's actually legal.
I'm surprised it's legal.
So strange that you'd be like,
staple your stomach in half.
I just can't stop eating Jaffa cakes.
Yes. But what's the alternative for the NHS? The NHS alternative must be, okay, we'll have to hire a dietitian who talks to them every single week, keeps them point of contact, weighs them every week, makes sure they're okay, helps them and educates them. They're not going to do that.
No.
It's too expensive. Gastric band's $4 or $5 grand. Hiring someone specifically to look after that individual who probably has psychological help as well as training needs. They ain't going to do that. It's too expensive.
Yeah. They
are literally choosing to chop you up instead of give you someone to help.
I mean, I spoke to somebody about this, and what she said is like, it's fair enough if you go to a surgeon, which is what I went to. She's obviously going to want to give you surgery, but it was literally all she had to do was say to me, mate. She doesn't talk like that. She's not, mate, lads, come here. I'm going to talk to you now, kid. It wasn't the two doctors I was speaking to. They're not just doctors. One's a surgeon, the other one's a specialist for ear, nose, and throat. Wouldn't say, you lose weight. It was the physio that said to me. I said to her, with the CPAP machine, this is horrible wearing this thing. If I lost weight, would I need this? And she said, in a year, you might not need this anymore. 5 months later, it was done.
Since we've spoke, I've actually had a funny experience about this. Since we've spoke, because I've got a business that fringes on medical care in the United States, virtual primary care, we call it, where you have basically telemeetings with doctors and you pay a monthly subscription. I've realized how medicine works a lot of the time, and it blew my mind. The quick story is they were always prescribing HCG in America with your test as part of your TRT. We know the HCG and TRT is quite contradictory. Doesn't really make that much sense. HCG, when it becomes testosterone or tells your body to produce it, is unreliable. Long story short, you shouldn't really do HCG with your TRT. That's my opinion. But every doctor in America prescribes it. And I had to ask someone. I ended up speaking to a biochemist and I said, what is going on? Why is everyone getting HCG and TRT? Is it for the money? I thought it's got to be the money because it's private. He went, no, it's not the money. He went, it's in case they're sued. He said, the only reason they're telling you to take HCG is because if they don't tell you to look after your fertility and you end up infertile or you're infertile anyway, you're going to sue them to pieces.
It's just an arse covering exercise.
A lot of the time in the medical, no one's really aware of this, but doctors, especially in America, but probably Europe as well, I don't know, are very wary of saying anything to somebody that they could come back and go, that doctor told me to lose weight, now I've got,
anorexia.
Yeah. And I hate my body image. Yeah. You probably could get a case like that over here. That's what I realised. I thought they were like money chasing maniacs. They're not. They just don't want to get sued.
Don't want to get sued,
Because it's so easy for you to turn against your medical practitioner. It's unbelievable.
Gentlemen, we are at time, which is a shame because I feel like I could continue talking with you for hours.
Till next time.
Yeah.
So let's repeat, Mr. Tyler Cookzilla. Tell us where they can find you on Instagram.
It's Tyler Cookzilla on Instagram. Hopefully it's changed by the time you look for me, but I've been trying for years, so I can't do it. Or The Health Guys, at The Health Guys Co. on Instagram. If you want more information about health, wellness, vitality, longevity, that's where you can find me as well.
Mr. Wilson, where can they find you?
Danny Wilson Coaching on Instagram and just plain old Danny Wilson on Facebook.
Plain old, but handsome.
Plain
Danny
old.
Wilson, Danny.
Oh, can you show us your calves? He's in shot. Can you just flex your calf?
Yeah.
When I interviewed Amy Harris, it was the morning I grabbed your calf and I told her about it. Tyler's got huge calves.
You think?
Yes.
I'm natty, bro.
Good lordy. Yeah. Ladies and gents, with that said, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. And we look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.